Away now to captivating St. Moritz, a fairyland of snow-capped mountains and lakes of ice. But forget this enchantment for a moment for a down-to-earth thought. What happens to all that ice? See if you can guess what's going on in this peek behind the scenes. It isn't often we see a lake being literally sawn up, but it's all in a day's work to Henri Rogatini. His job is to cut and deliver ice blocks to local hotels where they're stored for use in the summer months. Ice cutting on the lake is carried out for about a month, but it's worth the trouble, for the expense of this product of nature is only half the cost of ice manufactured by refrigeration and lasts 3 to 4 times as long. The lake generally freezes in winter to a depth of 2 feet, but underneath is an angler's paradise. Large stocks of trout which can be seen through holes cut in the ice. Ice has become increasingly useful in this modern age, and in this way, nature's contribution is gratefully accepted.
After that romantic setting, we visit a place which has far grimmer associations, Dartmoor. Yet most people would be surprised at the strange quality of beauty on the moor, a cold, aloof beauty perhaps, but one that isn't lost on the people who live and work here. At Postbridge, for example, in the middle of the moor, John Bellamy, the postmaster, wouldn't exchange his round for one anywhere else. It's a hard life, but a satisfying one. John, a very durable 62, does his round on horseback. And to Tinker, his 8-year-old cob who was bred on the moor, must fall the distinction of being one of the few horses left in the world who are kept for delivering mail. Mr. Bellamy, official number PB2, visits the homes and farms on his 10-mile route once a day, 6 days a week, all the year round in all weathers. And crossing Dartmoor in a blizzard, for example, is no joyride. One of the advantages of a lonely round like this is the friendship of the local people. People like Miss Calloway. You can see, too, why Tinker likes his job. Another advantage, at least in good weather, is the exhilarating freshness of the country air and of the normal everyday charms of nature that country folk appreciate so much. At 7 of the farms along the route, John has to remember to shut the gate behind him to prevent cattle straying. Most of them he knows by sight, like young Honeysuckle here, and if you think that's a funny name for a cow, the name of the farm is Laughter Hole. If there's no mail to deliver, John goes out just the same. There may be something to collect, and if there's not, well, he likes the job.
Sword-making factory who say in this nuclear age, business is booming. Swords. Just who would want these old-time weapons of war? In fact, they're now only a colourful part of military and political ceremony. But this has made little difference to the craftsmen who still retain many of the traditional sword-making skills. There's perfection at every stage, even in the casting of the ornamental brass hilts and handles. The hardened brass, like some press-out piece from a child's constructional set, is only the first hint of craftsmanship. That comes into its own with the making of the blade, although the shaped rollers are an automated version of the old blacksmith's hammer. A 12-inch bar of sword steel will double its length in these rollers and come down to a 1/4-inch thickness. It's not until the fingertip stage of sharpening the blade that the sparks really begin to fly. It's a job where you must always keep your eye in, because there's no machine to do it for you. To harden and temper the sword, it's dipped several times into whale oil, then afterwards into molten lead. There's a final twist or two in the clamp to make sure of that eye-inspecting straightness. Strange as it may seem, there's a test which looks capable of blunting, if not ruining, a new sword. Yet it's often the steel block that suffers a few chips. Patterns are really the same on swords these days. British colonies winning independence often order swords, and there's a new craze among business companies to have one specially designed instead of a plaque or house flag. All the hand-painted care and design which goes onto the blade deserves the guarantee of complete preservation when it's given a final coating of gold, silver, nickel, rhodium or chromium. Only the handles and scabbards remain to be fitted. In this way, the astonishingly high number of 5,000 swords a year are made. So many fighting blades, yet so few now raised in anger. It's strange, isn't it, that in this modern world of ours, which has brought vast technical progress, there's a flourishing financial future in scrap, model cars and swords. History will always find a place for these museum pieces of the fighting past, as they have in one factory where, in an impressive collection, the famed Sword of Stalingrad earns pride of place.
London is left with traffic jams. Were the 90s gayer, or was it that laughter could be heard? But that's a sentimental thought. And the big thought today is how to cope with so much traffic. The 90s wouldn't have thought of a name like the Department of Scientific and Industrial Research, but that's the body who are studying traffic at Crowthorne in Berkshire. They're seeing how many vehicles it takes to bring a roundabout to a standstill. It's a serious business trying to solve the traffic problem, and they're searching not for the past, but for the future. In this experiment, they're using all those cars and vans and lorries to find out the most efficient layout of roads to avoid jams. It seems fantastic, doesn't it, that all this trouble should be taken to make life even faster. From every position, they're examining the normal reactions of drivers. Normal reactions? Well, not quite. Unfortunately, nobody drives quite as well as they do when they're being watched. This is a telemetric recording vehicle where data is received from observers in the form of signals, which are then recorded. Scientific stuff. But it takes a long time to analyze the information. It takes an even longer time to build suitable roads in cities where the past never visualized the dominance of the motor car. So, we're still left with traffic jams.
Words art and paintings cover a wide field, yet few people associate them with the little group of men and women who are perhaps the most distinguished and talented craftsmen of all. So now at the Hitchin, Hertfordshire studio of Mr. Herbert Sharp, let's take a look at banner painting. The specially woven silk banners are painted in oils and decorated with gold or silver leaf. A delicate-sounding combination, yet they are not merely showpieces. Such is the quality of the finished works of art that in fairly regular ceremonial processions up and down the country and abroad, come rain or shine, the banners emerge immaculate as ever. Small wonder that each one takes about 4 months to complete. The team of brilliant artists led by Mr. Sharp turn out between 100 and 120 banners a year, often with religious or political themes, but with the subject, as you'll have noticed, varying considerably. Many of them last a lifetime, and some that Mr. Sharp painted at the start of his distinguished career over 50 years ago are still notable for their dignity and beauty. Then a banner would cost between 17 and 32 guineas, compared with today's figure of 150 to 200 pounds. The origin of these banners is a little obscure, although it's known that the Romans used them, made, by the way, from parchment. However, this firm has been making them since 1837, and Banner Street in the City of London was named after it. Who decides on the design? Well, it's first outlined by the association, lodge or committee concerned. Then, with the aid of reference books and photographs, the pictorial layout is evolved. A lot of time is spent, but the finished banners are truly works of art. Bright, attractive housing estates are springing up all over the country. Architects everywhere are kept busy providing designs in keeping with the critical eye of the modern house purchaser, who is no longer content with a pile of bricks and windows. Yes, people are more design conscious, and that goes for the little people too. Here in the land of the little people at Southport, designer Mr. T.F. Dobbins carefully plans the building of Lilliput. The buildings have been constructed in a variety of materials: Yorkshire stone, slate, limestone, concrete, and specially prepared timber that will withstand all weathers. So realistic are they, and such is their attraction, that more than 1 million people, the full-grown variety, have come here since it was opened in 1957. Barry Sutton is the lad with the magic touch. Because latter-day Gullivers obviously can't expect to see the little people, he models them, when there's no one about, to show us what they look like. The horticultural aspect of this 2 acres of make-believe is itself almost unbelievable. Velvet smooth lawns are bordered by literally thousands of deciduous trees, evergreens, flowering shrubs and plants. In the greenhouse, thousands more dwarf conifers are trimmed to a size in keeping with the land's inhabitants. But admire the landscape for yourself. The leisure time of the little people has been well catered for. They are provided with facilities for golfing, yachting, fishing, swimming, and there's this magnificent sports stadium. They certainly don't believe in all work and no play here, but neither do they expect all play and no work. Many of the townspeople, for example, are occupied at the local biscuit factory. To maintain the village, there is a staff of 20, including night workers. It's hard work in the service of the little people, but it's worthwhile work just to see the wonderment on any child's face. Now, who says they don't believe in fairies? For the benefit of those old-fashioned types who still cling to the belief that women are the weaker sex, let's introduce Ivy Wiggins, an attractive young housewife who'll soon put an end to that nonsense. For at Kew Bridge on the River Thames, Ivy works during the day in her husband's boatyard, smashing up old boats and barges. After After a day spent swinging a sledgehammer like this, a lot of men would spend the rest of the week in bed with a backache. But Ivy takes it all in her stride. Remember, these old vessels were built to last, and breaking them up is not as simple as it sounds. In fact, this one, built in 1878 and recently used as a houseboat, will have taken Ivy and her husband 3 months to demolish. Apart from the obvious attraction of a healthy open-air life and a job she likes, Ivy finds the work has other advantages. No coal bills, for example. She burns wood from the wreck, while the timber in good condition can be sold. Ivy, who also manages to cope with the usual household chores and 2 growing youngsters, is probably the only woman in the country with this type of job. Yet the veteran Thames watermen accept her quite readily as one of the lads. Compulsory navigation lights mark the position of a wreck so that it doesn't become a danger to shipping. This, by the way, is another attraction of the job, a picnic lunch in one of the loveliest river settings you could wish for. Yet another pleasant aspect of an average day in the life of Britain's toughest housewife.
It's a peaceful setting, and it's only the vigilance of bomb and mine disposal men who've got it that way. They never relax their efforts to make sure that Britain's beaches are clear of those deadly reminders of war, and the only way to achieve this is constantly to patrol the coastline. He's listening for the sound of danger, the sound which will test the skill of men whose daily duty means tampering with death. But don't worry too much, for after all this time, it takes something like a bonfire to turn those crusty objects into deadly weapons. Don't be fooled by the casual approach of these experts. They've been doing the job long enough to appreciate that an aircraft smoke marker like this still demands special attention. But on odd remote beaches, some mines defy any attempts to move them. And that's when it calls for a steady hand and steel nerves. Every turn of the tide may reveal a new menace on the beach. And here at Lydd in Kent, as indeed all along the south coast, the bomb and mine disposal men are trained to make certain our shores remain safe for holidaymakers. The charge has been removed, but the danger isn't over yet. Now comes the explosion, and flags flutter out a warning as others make sure that yet another relic of war is safely disintegrated. The all clear, and it's taken only minutes to destroy the bomb which has lain hidden for over 20 years. Don't think that Britain is surrounded by these menacing objects, but it is a fact that a strange assortment of sinister canisters are frequently peeping through the sand. They've even got a collection back at the Portsmouth headquarters, which would make any beachcomber feel more than a little apprehensive. There's a silver lining to all this, as you can see, but it helps to make sure that, after all, our shores are safe, and the hidden secrets of the sand never fulfill their deadly mission.
In an age of automation, it's nice to meet the comparatively few remaining specialists among us, the experts who do a highly skilled job that no machine could ever do, men like John Porter here. John's skill lies in his handsome nose. In fact, he and this small team of experts rejoice in the proud title of smellers. In case you didn't know, a smeller is a man employed by a brewery to examine returned empty beer barrels. If they smell all right, they're passed for further use. But if they're what's commonly known as stinkers, they're sent to the cooper's shop, opened and scraped clean. John's been doing the same job for 10 years, and he and his colleagues examine over 2,000 barrels a day. The two-pronged fork, by the way, is used to remove any shires, or bits of bung to you. Lesser men than these might quake in their shoes at the thought of a job like this, for it's said that nothing smells worse than a stinker barrel. But it's a job that has to be done, for a bad barrel will ruin the next lot of beer. The palates of the British public are at stake, and that's not to be sniffed at.
Now meet Catherine Brent of Devon in Cornwall, whose physical reaction to water is so strong that she is literally pulled this way and that in the direction of the underground stream she locates for Cornish farmers. Since she discovered her gift 3 years ago, Catherine has located 300 deep boreholes and has been right 98 times in every 100. Today, she is one of Britain's most successful professional water diviners. How does she do it? No one really knows, but scientists say that her body cells are unusually sensitive to physical and chemical changes in the earth. All Catherine knows is that her reactions are so violent that she is sometimes pulled off balance and ends up flat on her face. This from water often more than 200 feet below the ground. Her gift can locate the whole course of an underground stream with uncanny accuracy, but it leaves her exhausted and white-faced. Where she points, there is water. It seems incredible, but with this otherwise quite normal girl from Cornwall, it's just a fact.